Hello everyone, this is John for PokerVIP.com, and this is part 3 of the Crushing Unibet 50NL series that I've been doing. So far we've done the micro stakes, we've done 25NL, and now we're doing a separate series for 50NL, because it's probably one of the toughest stakes to sort of get through. You know, as you're working your way up, this is often people's stumbling block, and that's why I wanted to choose Unibet to do these series, because I truly believe Unibet's got the softest, or possibly the softest, 50NL games online, and I think this is a great place to make a ton of money, especially because you've got our promotions, our rate craze, our deposit bonus as well with it, which really add to your bottom line. So far we've seen limpers, we've seen people just buying in for 50 big blinds and just stacking off, we've seen random bluffs, we've seen possible regs, but the problem is they can change their screen name every single day. So it's really hard to keep up with them unless we see it again and we remember them. No notes, no player chat. So basically, we sit down, we treat it as a live game. We'd go into a live game normally, we'd see a young guy, an old guy, a woman, a kid in a hoodie, someone wearing poker merchandise, and we'd instantly think, okay, this player might be this, might be that. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're just making guesses from what we see instantly. From names and avatars and stack sizes, mainly stack sizes, to then what we see them do, if someone limps, people's raise sizes, how they play post-flop, and so on. And we basically turn those guesses into facts, and we find ways to exploit. So here's an interesting hand straight away on the right. Villain opened in the small blind. I called from the big blind. I floated this flop. It's a very dry flop. Generally, one if we call, we'll have a piece, and by piece, that'll probably be at least a flush draw. So I entered float to bluff. Even when I turned a pair, I decided to still bet, just to basically protect my hand versus any, overcards or hands of equity he might have. But on the flop, it was just a float. People open up a lot, blind versus blind. They bet once, they check, give up. It's a common theme. Deuce 3 suited's a bit too weak to open. Here we have a limper, and we have someone who's isolated, who doesn't have 100 big blinds, but is pretty close to, so we can't really assume much from them. But we can assume that maybe this Mixu guy under the gun isn't that great, just due to his stack size. Most people have 100 big blinds or more. Sadly, he snap folds. I went for just over 3x here. We could maybe make it slightly smaller, like 550. Possibly a leak in my game of not really being used to these sizings. Good flop because there's 3 unders, there's no ace, which is the ultimate scare card. Not so great flop because he can definitely have jacks and nines, but also lots of draws. So we're going to bet pretty big here and just basically not think about folding. He snap folds, so maybe a hand like ace queen. But I did see a hand, I didn't see how it played out, whilst I was talking of him calling a river bet, which was quite large, with queen 10 on a queen high, and he was in the big blind and the pot was pretty big, so maybe someone who just plays, lots of weaker hands, but we're unsure. He snapped reloads to 100 big blinds anyway, so possibly a good player. But I'm not going to really take many chances on that flop. We want to get value, we feel like he could hit it, we want to protect our hand versus draws, we don't have the king of clubs. So, 2/3, 3/4 is where you want to be. I'd say no higher than like 85% of pot, and I'd say no lower than 65%, so somewhere in that range is what we want to be aiming for. Any questions, please leave in the comments below, and of course please leave a star rating review. A6 I'm going to fold. Interesting pot going on the right. I see that Lucky Mary's on both tables, but the other guys aren't. So maybe this Lucky Many is possibly a reg. 2-tabling, 100 big blinds on both. That is an instant sign of someone who's good, because you're multi-tabling, you've got 100 big blinds on both, you've got money in your account. So now we've sort of seen a hand where maybe they overplayed. We've seen a hand where they called a 3-bet and folded. Now we've seen them on 2 tables. So we're kind of in between. Is this a reg? Is this maybe a bad reg? Maybe, the hand we saw wasn't that weird. Maybe they did just have like a strong hand like ace-queen suited when I had kings. So we're kind of in between of, is this a good player or is this a weaker player? Going to go for a 3-bet here. 9-10 off, obviously a good hand to do with in position. We're playing 5-handed. People are going to be opening quite wide in the cutoff. We don't know too much about this guy, but we're just sort of playing our position here and going from there. We get called before a straight draw, pretty good. He can have lots of hands like ace queen, ace king, king queen that we can just get to fold with this bet here. 593 into 933. I think that's a really good sizing. We can also bomb a lot of turns and rivers. He does start fold though, so I'd imagine he had one of those hands I mentioned. Under the gun, 3-4 off. We're going to fold. And this is the main thing you've got to do here is pay attention to the games. You know, when I come onto this site, you know, I sort of 4-table. I can really keep track of 4 tables. Obviously, 2 tables for videos I think is just easier. But certainly if I'm playing, you know, 400 NL where the player pool's only got about 40 people in, you know, I'm happy to 2-table or 3-table because I see everything that they don't. Nine deuce in the big blind versus Kodak. We're going to be folding. Recognize his name from somewhere. Maybe a reg or maybe a PokerVIP member. Jack 7, we're going to fold. Button open and appeal. Jack, Queen, King, all hearts, could be interesting. Race sizing here is really large from Kodak. You know, I would not be making it this large with any of my 4-betting range. I'd have made it like 14, 12, something like that, if you kind of nutted. So possibly something to keep an eye on. Ace-Jack here, we see a limp. I'm going to go ahead and isolate. Interesting on the right here by Robot, who bets. Could be a pretty easy spot to bluff. Ace-Jack, we flop really well. Imagine we've got the best hand most of the time here. I just bet a half pot and we get a quick fold. I don't ever like betting larger than half pot there. We hit the flop so hard. We're going to have the best hand a lot. You know, we want calls, so my general sizing would be to half pot, half pot, half pot, something like that. Ace-Deuce, I've gone for the ISO. You know, he played pretty passively there. I've seen him limp fold before, so I definitely want to be isolating him a lot more. We get a cold call, we flop top pair. This time I'm going to go ahead and just check back. There's nothing really to be worried about here draws-wise. So quite a lot of times we're going to be crushed with a versus a better ace, or maybe a set of 8s. And other times, you know, by checking the flop, we can get value off a hand like King-Queen on the turn. So I'm going to bet here now. Quick call, 7 on the river doesn't really change much. He can have a couple aces that beats me. I'm not too sure if a king pays me off. I certainly think a jack folds, so I don't think I get value from anything that we beat, and I don't think we can bluff any better hands off it, so we'll just get checked down there. Calls me a 10 jack, which is a really loose call, but because we check the flop, we get that value on the turn. So just one straight of value there with ace deuce, but a nice pot to win. King 7 in the cutoff is going to be a fold. By the way, when you sit out, I think you have 7 minutes to sit back in before it removes you. So quite a long time there to get back in the games if you're going to go just put some food on or grab a drink or go to the bathroom or something. Three seven suited, I'm going to defend blind versus blind. We can definitely 3-bet this hand. Lots of people choose to 3-bet it over calling with it. I'm just very happy playing in position. Good flop because we make a pair, but it would be nice if there was a heart on board. If he barrels the turn, he's repping an 8 or better. Once he checks though, we're just going to bet for value and protection. If he check raises, I would probably call because it just won't make that much sense to me. He check calls, which worries me more than a check raise. Once he check calls, I'm going to assume he's got some hands like ace 4 and ace 5. possibly a flush draw I didn't want to barrel, or maybe just like a better 3. I do chop with a better 3 now. I don't think I can get an 8 to fold, and I certainly don't think I can get an ace to fold, so I'm going to just check. Yeah, it has king 9 high, which is pretty crazy. Pretty bad float there on the turn by him, but good for us. And you see, he reloaded, but only €5 more, so we've got to assume that this guy's just a weaker player. He's now reloaded to 100 big blinds, which is very interesting. Six, 7 suited on the button. I'm just going to stick to a min-raising strategy. We get 3-bet here in position, but we do have this guy here who's only got 50 big blinds and could just, jam, so we're just going to get out of the way and fold there. Lucky Many does seem to be in quite a lot of pots, so, lots of 3-betting, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Ace-7, I open the cutoff. Get a call from our Lucky Many guy. We flop an overcard and a nut flush draw, so I'm just going to go ahead and bet this. Calls, turns a deuce, pretty interesting card for us. I think it's going to be like jack heavy rather than king heavy, so I'm just going to go ahead and bet again, and I'm going to rep any heart on the river, or bet any ace for value. And he does just fold pretty quick. We can also get ace-10 to fold there, which is a nice win for us. Going to open king-queen on the other table. Ace-3 beats queen-9. Interesting. 3-7 off, going to be folding. Face a 3-bet here by Lucky Many. Our hand doesn't play that great by calling, but I think this could definitely be a good spot for us to go ahead and 4-bet bluff. We have blockers for kings and queens and ace-king and ace-queen. And sizing-wise, we risk 14-12 to win what's in the middle, so that's a really good proposition for us. We now just have to hope he folds. He goes for a call, which is interesting. We just go for a bet here. And we bet pretty small because that's what we do with aces. Basically what I'll do here is I will then check any king or queen and call it off. Or value jam the river. Interesting one here. We improve for the jack to give us the nut straight. He could be trapping us with aces. He could have a pocket pair. It's pretty close here between jamming and folding. I think it does just hit his range a little bit too hard, so I think a check fold's probably better. And he jams pretty quick. Obviously we've got to fold. Pretty interesting one there. But he's just going to have like lots of pocket pairs he peels with. He's going to have aces a good amount of time as well, so I think that was a good give up there. What I would do there is I would basically jam if the flop was like deuce... Deuce 9, sorry, Deuce 10, 4, and the turn was a jack. Like, I would jam the jack, because I think I can get like 8s and 9s to fold. And I also have the straight draw equity and the 2 overcards. I think that'd be fine. And also if I turned a flush draw, I would jam as well. But I think there, we're going to have very little equity. And you could definitely have a hand like jacks, which, blocks a lot of our outs. Not something I do much of, but he's definitely been 3-betting a bit too much. We had the blockers. Everything looked good for us to go ahead and try it. And like I say, bet sizing on flop, I keep it very small because that's what I would do with my nutted hands. We need to just risk little, win lots, and hope it works. But Lucky Many gets it done this time. And, like I said, if I hit a king or a queen, I would check with the intention for them to, go ahead and jam all of their bluffs, or for me to be able to just jam the river because the pot's big enough already, and basically make them believe me a little bit less. Ace-9. We see a limper by our friend. So we do our usual ISO. He calls. Don't flop much, but we can just go ahead and try to win the pot. And he snap falls again, so he just plays fit or fold. We know that this guy's great to ISO, because post-flop he plays incredibly passively. So we just do it again because we have a suited queen in position, and this is a somewhat playable hand, and he's a very passive fish. He calls, we flop a pair, backdoor flush draw, fine to just go ahead and half pot it. Open, he just check folds, but nope, he checks calls. We don't turn any equity there, which is a shame. We can have the best hand though versus like 4-5, 5-6, ace-4, ace-5, so we're just going to check and, hope to get a showdown. 10 on the river doesn't change much at all. I don't think we can really bluff him off much here, but I think we do have some showdown value, so I'm going to check, and he shows a worse deuce, and we win. So Mixu is definitely a mark, that's for sure. We're going to go for a 3-bet in position with queen 10 off. Pretty close here, he's been playing pretty tight. So this is maybe a bit too soon. But it certainly puts, his like marginal range under some pressure. But he's not 4-bet, so I'd assume he's just a very tight player who, plays pretty much the nuts and plays them pretty quick. King 3 suited, we fold. Get a walk there, which is nice when you've got rags. 3-9 suited out of position versus this Mixu guy. I think we're going to go for it again. Maybe a bit too wide and out of line, but he has been playing very passive. We flop 3 of a kind, just going to go for half pot. Ace-9, we face the lead, we're going to fold. We get a call, so now I just assume he's always got like 10-jack, king-jack, jack-8, queen X, or maybe a 9 sometimes, but I'd assume it's generally just like a queen. I don't think he's going to fold, so I'm just going to start putting some money in the pot. Basically just jam the river. He jams, not exactly loving life, because, king jack was definitely out there, but we're going to call. He has ace-10, and he decides to jam, so happy days. Pretty crazy jam, but like I say, Unibet is the absolute place to make some money. Lots of people like that. Lots and lots and lots of people like that. Shame he's gone, because he was definitely free money. But there will be more, and now we just need to figure out how to exploit these other opponents that we have. Always feels very good, when I make these series, how I can just keep saying, see, look how great this site is. You don't get this on any other sites. On many other sites. The ones that you do, I do make the videos for. King Jack under the gun. It's pretty close, but because these guys seem pretty tight, I'm going to go ahead and raise. It's pretty close. I don't always open King Jack off under the gun. Get caught by Mr. Lucky Many. And a squeeze, so backfired, but I think we had some good reasons to do it there. A couple new people in, Keller and Mao Wow Man. Lucky Many calls my open and calls a 3-bet, so I've got to assume it's hands like ace-jack suited, ace-queen suited, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket 8s, something like that. He flat calls the flop, so he's repping some sort of decent pair. Pretty big pot in there. All in. And a quick call with ace-10. Yeah, that's really ugly by Lucky Manny there. So yeah, someone who might think they're like a good reg, but is actually just someone who spews a lot. and plays too many hands in the wrong positions and overplays them. Is what I'm gathering. And sorry if you're a PokerVIP member or something, or you're watching this. I'm just going, like I say, off guesses and assuming and trying to figure people out. King 6, we fold. As we do with the Queen Deuce. Always topping up to that 100 big blind mark. Always doing it. There is definitely something to be said as well for just like letting it sort of go slightly 100 big blinds and not always reloading. Like if you go to like 95, because then people might think you're a fish. But I'm personally just one to just keep it going as it is. Queen 4 suited, I peel, pretty standard pre-flop, and this will be a pretty easy check call on flop with backdoor straight and flush draws. And also Queen High, of course. He's always going to c-bet this flop. Turn to flush draw, so this will be a pretty easy check call on the turn. Don't want to check raise because it just doesn't make enough sense anyway. And check calling, we have enough equity, and you know, Queen High is good enough at showdown a lot of the time, so we just call. River we brick, so that's a shame. I don't expect him to bluff that often on this river, so when he bets, I think it'll be for value. And we're just going to fold, of course, if he bets. No time wasting from me. Mr. Luda 2. Pretty loose open here with 10-3 suited, but I do like to open most suited cards on the button. We flop a straight draw, which is pretty good. Just going to go for a half pot bet here. Half pot C bet. Ten 6 suited, we fold. Queen 7 suited, certainly a hand we should always be opening on the button. Flop nothing at all. We have no backdoors and no hope, so we're just going to c-bet and hope this works. You might have a hand like King 10 of clubs that he folds. Sadly he calls though, and I'm done with the hand now. It will just be a fold if he bets or a check back. And basically just hope to hit a queen, or sometimes a 7 will be good. Deuce, deuce, deuce. And we fold. Interesting pot going on between Lucky Many and FC. Bets 5 into 8 on an 8-8-5 king. We had 10 deuce, so no blockers really. I like it when you have like King 8 that you folded and you're thinking, what the hell are these guys doing? But on this time we don't block anything, so not that interesting. Get a what with King 5. Fold 7-8, 6-7 fold as well. So Lucky Many is definitely playing a lot of pots. Definitely someone who could just get himself into a lot of trouble. Jack 8, we'll give it a go. Right on the borderline. Jack 9 I always open. Jack 8 is sometimes, but small blind's pretty tight. Big blind's pretty interesting. But I'm certainly fine still opening his big blind. And just folding to that aggression. Don't really want to fall back there, certainly not going to defend. Make sure you do get signed up to Unibet through our link as well, which you'll see beneath the stream in the beneath the video, sorry, in the description. And there should be a little advert for it on the side of the video as well. Haha, this Kodak guy with the bum as the picture. Looks like he's lying on the sofa. Ace 4 we open, blind versus blind. We should always be opening any ace. I don't incorporate a limping range into my game. Something I'm pretty undecided on right now. I keep leaning towards the thing that it's not as profitable as just opening or folding, but people do keep trying to tell me otherwise. So I will let you know if I ever change my mind. But for now, I'm just happy to open or fold. In tournaments, I incorporate limping, but it's very different because of the stack sizes. Fold the queen deuce. Just shots on both tables. Playing very tight on both tables. So I'm going to try and open the blind versus him. It's not that crazy even open, you know, suited cards, but certainly when you see someone being tight, we've got to attack and attack and attack. Raise here on the turn here. I had a 4, so I block a couple of straights. And he gets a quick fold. Queen 3 with muck. And A3 suited are going to fold as well. Queen 6 we get a walk. Lots of walks on Unibet, and again on the other table. Other sites definitely seem to play a lot more aggressive in the blinds, you know, way more stealing going on. You know, here it is pretty easy to just get lots of walks and to steal lots of big blinds. 9-7, certainly not a loose open. Flop a straight draw, just going to go ahead and bet. I think 3/4 is good here. Jack or a 6. Get a snap fold though, so lots of passive play going on. Jack 3 suited I open because just shot just folds blinds all day long. Kodak we don't know too much about, but he folds instantly as well. Ace 9 we open. Very standard anyway, no matter who's in the blinds, so not much to talk about there. I actually get a 3-bet this time by just shot. I'm going to give him a bit of respect there, even though I've got an ace. Could maybe think about 4-betting there, but I'd probably prefer to do it on like, you know, King Queen, Jack Queen, King Jack, hands with lots of blockers. I'm going to really block like Ace King or Ace Queen and Aces there. Definitely in his range, but it's hard to get double aces. Speak of the devil, that'll be one for the comments below in the review. Just call them in. Hopefully we get 3-bet. We get flattered by just shot. And we get flattered by Kodak. So they're all repping like mid-strength hands, like, you know, pocket pairs, suited connectors, broadways. Lots of calls here, and we get a pretty wet board. 4-10 Jack with 2 diamonds. We do, however, have a diamond in our hand here. So we do have some outs if we're behind. Not going to bet too big. Just going to thin the herd now, basically. I really don't want to get raised. Because if we get raised, the repping sets are 2 pairs. I think Jack's always 3-bets pre. 10's sometimes 3-bet, sometimes flats. Pocket 4 certainly flat. So we're scared of 2 sets and 1 2-pair combo. 5 on the turn, pretty good turn card here. We could think about check raising, but personally I just prefer to bet. I'm going to bet about 2/3. And he folds. Interesting. I wonder what he has there to call flop and then fold. Maybe just a 10? But maybe he could just fold flop with a 10 with 2 players behind to act. But he hasn't played perfect poker, so that could have been anything. Like anything at all. But anyway, we are going to we're going to call it a video there. That's part 3 of the 15L crushing on Unibet. I got out of line a couple of times in this video with my 3-bets and 4-bets and C-bets and so on, which you don't see me do that often. But you know, just you got to try these things. You got to see if they work. You make them make sense. You know, So it's not just clicking buttons, it's like, I'm doing this because, and if it doesn't work, you don't look as cool as you would if it does work, but that's what poker's all about, you know, figuring out people and making the correct plays. So anyway, that was part 3, and please do come back for part 4. This was John for PokerVIP.com.